Hello everyone, I am Parikshit and in today's session on Unacademy Catalyst, we are going to discuss a very important question. A question which is there in the minds of almost every MBA aspirant. How do I choose a specialization? Right? That's what we are going to discuss for the next 15-20 minutes. Let's get started. So this is about me, Parikshit, your educator with the highest life class rating on Unacademy and over 99.8 percentile in the CAT. Yes. Now, before I get started, first I must tell you the happenings on Unacademy, right? A lot of new batches are starting on Unacademy. The 22nd of March, a starter batch started. Then on the 24th of March, an absolute weekday morning batch. And then on the 27th, a round-the-clock batch. Now, if you are a CAT 2021 aspirant and wish to enroll for any of these batches, make sure you use the code Parikshit Live for 10% off on the subscription fee. Also, I feel very happy to share with you that in CAT 2020, we had 100 percentiler in LRDI from Unacademy, an all India topper, and overall the highest percentile 99.98, 99.96. So many of our students have scored. You definitely can be one amongst the next. Yes, last few days to enroll on Unacademy before we go for our price hike. Price hike is effective 31st of March. So currently if you see the left hand side are the current prices before and then on the right side is after, right? Now the orange color before and after, that's the iconic pluses. Now if you wish to subscribe to any of the Unacademy Plus or iconic subscription, make sure you use the code Parikshit Live. You will get 10% off. Remember to do it before 31st of March because after that there is gonna be a price hike. And yes, the weekly scholarship test is absolutely free. Now you can access the course absolutely free. Register as a first time user. When I say first time user, I mean with a mobile number which has not been registered on Unacademy before, and use the invite code Parikshit Live. You will be able to access the course free. And the CAT T20 test series. Make sure you enroll because you get to know how much your preparation, how much of it is done, and how well you stand with regard to your competitors. Let's get started with today's session. How to choose an MBA specialization. Okay. Now, before I talk about how to choose, I think the first thing that you got to understand is what are the different specializations available in an MBA, right? The most common specializations. First is finance. Next is marketing. Correct? Third is operations. Okay, I'll put ops. Fourth is HR. And fifth is systems. I'm going to talk about each of these specializations, and then the next question will be how you're going to elect one of these, right? Now let's talk about finance. What do you get to learn in an MBA finance, right? Remember, MBA teaches you how to be a manager. So finance, do you need to have a finance background to take up finance in an MBA? Is the first question a lot of students ask me, and especially engineers. Now, I must tell you, if you take my own example, I am an engineer, I am an MBA in finance, I am a CFA charter holder level 3, and then I am an FRM charter holder. I did finance without having a finance background in my graduation, and a lot of students do that. Now, what do you learn in finance? What will you learn in finance is the next thing. In finance, you will learn about financial risk. Now, what is financial risk? Let's take an example of financial risk, right? A lot of companies are there, billion-dollar companies. But do these companies put aside a sufficient amount of money for risk management? Let's say tomorrow there is a tsunami. Tomorrow there is a terrorist attack in the United States. Can this big institution survive? Okay. So what will you going to do? You will assume normal distributions, and then there's a lot of statistics. What is the probability of any event happening? And if that event were to happen, how much money does the organization needs to hold? Is a classic example of financial risk management. A lot of statistics is involved in financial risk management. Then what else do you learn? You learned about trading. You learned about trading. You must have heard about the stock markets. You must have heard about stock selection. Okay, today let's buy Infosys share. It's your gut feeling, but an MBA finance will tell you how to trade and what are the factors you need to consider before you actually decide which stocks to trade, right? You will learn a lot about trading. Then you will learn a lot about corporate finance. Corporate finance. What is the meaning of corporate finance? A classic example of corporate finance could be today as an organization, if I need to raise money, okay, I need to raise money. Should I raise money from the public? Should I go to the bank or borrow money at a certain rate? Or should it be a mixture of how much should I borrow from the public and how much should I borrow from the banks? Which projects should I take? Okay, remember you want to open, probably you are a owner, you are a risk taker and you want to open an amusement park, something on the lines of SL World. Okay, how much money is required for it and when do you expect to get break even? This is something you are going to learn in corporate finance. What prior knowledge is required? Definitely no prior knowledge is required. All these can be learned in 2 years of MBA. But does it help if you know some basics of finance? Definitely it helps. So who are at an advantageous when you take up finance? People who have done BCom are in an advantageous when they take up finance. People who are chartered accountants, people who are company secretaries, these type of people who have done graduations in either of these three, okay, or something of this type, do have an advantage. But when I say advantage, I only mean at the starting, right? Do engineers do finance? Definitely yes, a lot of them. But anyone who has done a BCom, a CA or a CA could be at an advantage, yes, at the starting, especially if you know how to read a balance sheet, especially if you know how to read the account statements, the income and loss statement, profit and loss statement, right? So these are the examples of what you are going to learn in your finance. Then, what about marketing? Remember, a 20-minute class is not sufficient to tell you every detail, but I'm going to give you the broader picture of what you're going to learn in MBA in this 5 categories of specialization. In a marketing, remember marketing constitute of two types. One is sales. Sales is completely different from marketing, okay? And another is marketing. Now remember, for you who has not done an MBA at this stage, these two terms might appear synonymous, but they are not. Sales is actually going out in the fields and selling an item. That's a classic examples of sales, right? But what is marketing? You actually get to sit in the rooms, right? And you probably will design the brand strategies. What kind of advertisements will you actually put up? Probably it's a nano, affordable car, right? What is the marketing position? How are you going to position that product or the service in the market? It could be regarding effort, it could be luxury, what else? So strategy is something a person who has done marketing will devise. But what is sales? You actually go out in the field, okay, and try to sell a product. That is sales. A top B school, especially if you get into an IIM, okay, has a lot of roles related to marketing, But if you get into a lower B school, a lower rank, or probably a category B school, not the best B schools, a lot of profiles which come in marketing are actually sales profiles. It could be selling an insurance product. It could be actually selling a medical product, but this is actually sales and not marketing. Now they say, any CEO, if you often listen to, they will obviously say you cannot devise a marketing strategy without actually going out in the fields and doing sales in the initial few days. So remember, sales and marketing are two different things, and you should be ready to be part of either of this if you decide to opt for marketing in one of your one of your specializations during your MBA. Yes? Yeah, if there are live comments in YouTube, I'll definitely answer. But first, let's finish this. Yes? If you have questions, you can directly shoot in your MBA. Okay. I see some questions on a live YouTube. Don't worry, I'm going to answer it. Okay. Now, what is operations? What is operations? What do you learn in an operations? Operations, you will learn supply chain. You will learn supply chain, mostly supply chain. As an example, let's take you work for Walmart, or for that matter, you work for Flipkart, or you get a placement in Amazon. Remember the entire supply chain strategy. When I talk about supply chain, How are the goods going to be transferred from one place to the other in the least possible time with the minimum cost, and ensuring that the quality is not compromised will be things that you will learn in the supply chain. Remember, you must have done in your graduation or in your 10, 12, some concepts like critical path. These are the things that you will learn in your operations. These things like Six Sigma, things like Six Sigma. These are the things that you will actually get to learn during your MBA operations if you take up operations. Now, what is HR? HR, as most of you know, stands for human resources. What will you learn? Human resources. So, human resources will comprise of probably people management. People management. Okay. So, when I say people management, it could be designing their leaves policy, designing their appraisal. I see a lot of questions. I'm going to answer all your queries. Don't worry. We'll take it up in the last 5 minutes of the class. Okay. People management. It could be regarding appraisal processes. It could be regarding pay hikes. It could be regarding leadership planning, succession planning. What is the succession planning, by the way? Let's say the top CEO, the top 5 leaders of your company leave. Do you have an alternate plan? Is there a succession in place which will be ready to take up the leadership should a need arise? And another very interesting aspect of HR is labor laws. Labor laws. Remember, every country, including India, has a lot of labor laws, right? HR are the persons who got to deal with the labor laws. And then, systems. What do you learn in systems? Who should opt for systems? People who have probably an IT background. IT background. Remember, a lot of engineers have an IT background. Or if not an IT background, you at least end up working with a TCS, a Cognizant, an Accenture, or a Wipro, right? So if you have been working with probably a TCS, a Wipro, an Accenture, post your engineering, or if you have done your computer science, okay, then you know what? You might want to do an MBA in systems. It would ensure that you would not completely move out of your IT background. But do you have to code? Will they teach you how to code? No, they will not teach you how to code. They will probably teach you artificial intelligence. They will probably teach you digital technologies, new digital technologies. But will they teach you how to code? Generally not. Generally not. Though they might teach you about Python, R and all. So if you have an IT background, you might want to opt for systems. Now that you have an understanding of what are the 5 categories of specializations that are offered in a B school, the next particular question that you would ask me is, okay, how should I choose a specialization? How should I choose a specialization, right? That's the next point we are going to talk about. Okay. Let's talk about the next aspect. How to choose a specialization, okay? How to choose a specialization. Now think about it. I think I would classify specializations into 3 major categories, okay? How do you choose? The factors, and I'm going to elaborate the factors. The first is definitely your interest area, your interest. I think this got to be the most major factor in deciding a specialization. When I say interest, okay, and if you enter into a B school, a very broad way of classifying is a very broad way. I'm not saying it is always 100% true, but they say, even research and books say, if you are an extrovert, okay, probably you would do good in marketing. You would do good in marketing. Now, I'm going to talk about marketing and finance first because these are the most sought after specializations during an MBA. And if you are an introvert, I'm not saying this is 100% correct, but I'm saying this is one way of classifying. A broad way, you should opt for finance. Now, why do they say so? Remember, what does a marketing job demand? A marketing job demands that you be creative, okay? You should possess skills. What sort of skills that you need to possess? First, you got to be very high in energy. High in energy. Remember, very high. There's a lot of traveling involved. And nowadays, they say marketing is in tier 2 cities. Are you ready to go to the villages? Are you ready to move out of the metros? Remember, if you get placed in Colgate, will they give you placements in Delhi or Bombay? Might not. They would ask you to probably sell a product in the villages of the country, or probably in a tier 2 city, like let's say Bhubaneswar, or let's say something like Patna, right? So high energy, and then traveling, if you love traveling. Okay, next is obviously communication skills. When I say communication skills, I definitely do not mean English. I definitely do not mean English. It could be communication skills to convince a person. If you have good communication skills, as an example, let's say you get placed in Haryana, no one will listen to you if you are a marketing guy and you are speaking in English, right? You got to speak pure Hindi, a language which they will be able to relate. When I say they, I mean the masses, the crowd in Haryana, the general population in Haryana. So do you have convincing skills? These are the kind of qualities that you got to have if you opt to go for marketing. And something I believe is again very important is creativity. Creativity. Why do I say creativity? Remember, if you are into marketing, you got to define branding strategies. If you are trying to sell a Honda City tomorrow, you got to come up with taglines. You cannot be giving a 1 hour presentation to a customer, right? You got to speak to your customer for 5 minutes and are probably trying to sell a Mahindra or probably a BMW. In those 5 minutes, can you capture the imagination of your customer is what is going to decide. Now, I think if you are an extrovert, if you have all these skills, high energy, you love traveling, you love to speak to people, you love traveling, you are creative. Perfect. You have got all the skills required to be a marketing guy, required to be a successful marketing guy. Now, let's talk about finance. Okay. Remember, I'm going to take up your questions. I'm going to take up your questions, but I'm going to take up your live questions in the last 5 minutes. Okay. Now, let's next talk about finance. What do you need in finance? Finance, you need to be good with numbers. You definitely love to be good with numbers. When I say numbers, do I mean your CAT quant syllabus? No, definitely not. They're not going to ask you time and work. They're not going to ask you time and distance, or for that matter, they're not going to ask you algebra. But you should definitely be good with percentage change. You know what will you be doing? You will actually be doing a lot of calculations. See, there will be a lot of models. Okay, there will be a lot of models which you probably have to design. When I say models, what do I mean? Models are nothing but you enter the input, you let the third person enter the input, and he will get the output, so you have to build a lot of formulas. You have to be really good in Excel sheets. Remember, this job might not require you to travel a lot. When I say travel a lot, it relatively compared to marketing. But definitely you got to be good with numbers, you got to be good with Excel sheets, and you got to be good with maths. When I say maths in general, I generally mean statistics. Okay? So a lot of what kind of roles do you get? Which type of companies will hire you? Remember, a Citibank, a Deutsche Börse, then you have got the Goldman Sachs, all top companies. Remember, a lot of people, when I say finance, they will say mergers and acquisitions, investment banks. Definitely, these are the kind of profiles that will come and pick up companies in good B schools. There can be other category of students who would probably want to do a lot of research. You know what? Research. Then also you should be going into finance. Example of research companies are CRISIL. What does CRISIL does? You can Google a bit on CRISIL. CRISIL will actually rate companies. You know what? Tomorrow, how good a company is, you want to know. Okay, you as a bank want to give money to CRISIL, loan to CRISIL. You obviously want to know what is the financial status of CRISIL, right? So a lot of financial status of the company. So companies like CRISIL provide rating to companies such that based on the ratings, you know how risky is the company. So these are the type of profiles that will typically end up with a finance guy. Okay. Then operations. Now, who should go for operations? Now, remember, I think operations and HR and system are three specializations which are not as sought after as your finance and marketing. But if you have some sort of background, it could be you have a family it could be you have a family business, okay, or an example family business, or it could be you are a mechanical engineer working in a core company like TVS Motors or like Maruti. Can you take up operations? I think it's the best one to take up. There are colleges like SIOM Nasik, Symbiosis Institute of Operations Management. You will learn all about supply chain, right? So this is a back, you will not be at the forefront, you will be the background of the company, delivering and making sure that the processes that they follow are efficient and there is no loss anywhere. There is efficiency, maximum efficiency of the supply chain management. So you'll be probably working at the background of the company, you will not be the visible face of the company. Remember, marketing guys, direct interaction with clients. Finance guys, to an extent, if you are a trader, if you are a financial advisor, you will definitely be interacting with the customers. But ops guys, you probably would be the background guy, but would constitute the background of the business, backbone of the business, right? HR, I might not want to speak more on this. HR are the people. Again, if you love dealing with people, right? People management skills is what you have. Then HR is for you. And again, I already talked about systems. If you have some kind of exposure in IT, okay, IT like a TCS, Wipro, Accenture, and trust me, if you have not got frustrated with your job, a lot of you get frustrated with a TCS or an IT job, right? If you're not frustrated with a job, you probably would want to come back to the IT industry. But as a manager, you can take up systems. Right? Okay. So some people are asking me, there are questions that I'm going to answer it. Give me 2-3 more minutes and then I'm going to take up your live queries, right? So what were we discussing? We were discussing the factors that one need to consider while choosing an MBA specialization. The second factor is obviously career opportunities, right? If you take up HR, okay, opportunities, okay, if you take up as an example HR, all companies might not permit you to sit for a placement process. Let's say a Goldman Sachs comes. If the Goldman Sachs profile is for a finance guy, you might not be allowed. Same happens with systems. So basically, if you take up HR or systems, you are narrowing down your future career opportunities. Is it desirable? Again, depends on your interest. If you are very interested about HR, if that is what you think that you would become the HR global leader 10 years, 20 years down the line. No one is stopping you. Take up HR. But then what you have done is you have narrowed down your future growth prospects, future areas in which you can work. But almost every company that comes on campus would allow students to sit for placements who have taken up finance and marketing. So as I say, finance and marketing are most sought after. So you decide what is your career outlook. If you are okay with a broader area, then probably finance and marketing is for you. But if you are you think that okay, you want a narrow path down and you're very focused on what you want, it could be due to multiple reasons. You could have a family business, you have an HR firm, or probably you already have a father's business which you want to take up, right? Then you go for the sub specializations. And then the third thing is the college, right? Which college have you got? Let's take an example. A college like JBIMS, you know what, is considered to be amongst the top 10 colleges in the country. Top 10. So you know what? When I talk about finance and marketing, you know what? In JBIMS, if you look for it, finance plus marketing. What about the number of students who opt for finance and marketing? 90%. What about ops? Around 5%. Ops will be around 5%. What about HR? Around 3%. And probably number of systems is around 2%. Now, why do I give you these numbers? Remember, if you decide to take up systems in Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, only 2% of 138, remember there are 138 students seats in JBIMS, have opted for systems. Now the problem would be very less students. If there are very less students in the college, the peer learning that you get would be less, would be a bit less. So definitely when you get into the college, do some research on which specialization is best in that particular college, and accordingly you might want to fine tune your specialization so as to make sure that it is in alignment with what the college, with what is the best specialization that the college offers. Remember, if you have only 5 students in your specialization, you might not be enjoying your MBA. You might not be getting the best package, because remember, if there are 200 students and only 5 students opt for systems, when the placements come, the focus will also be on the specialization where there are majority of students, and not in the specialization where there are only 3 or 4 students. Okay, I think let's take up questions now. Now, some people are asking, will the specialization be written on our degree? Now, depends from where you have done an MBA, right? The first question people are asking me is, okay, I see some live questions. So, first question is, will the specialization be written on your degree? Specialization, answer is yes and a no. Yes and a no. Why? If you wish to do a specialization from a B school, like let's say probably an SP Jain, or a B school like MDI Gurgaon, okay, the specialization might be written, or a lesser known B school. What happens? The lesser known B schools will come out with terminologies like dual specialization. Now these words are never found in an MBA, are never found in an IIM, right? IIMs, they don't have specializations. You get a general MBA degree, and how do you choose an elective then in IIMs? You choose the subject. So in your second year, if you choose finance related subjects, you'll be studying more about finance. But there is nothing called a finance specialization in an IIM. Similarly, if you go to ISB, no specialization as such. But if you go to the lesser known B schools, they have specific specializations which they also mention in their degree certificate. That's point number 1. Okay. Someone is asking, will it go against me if I say I haven't decided my specialization? Haven't decided specialization. Definitely not. Definitely not. Remember, haven't decided specialization. This is something which is very common to 95% of the students who are writing the CAT, right? The logic is very simple. Specialization is something that you need to choose in your second year of graduation, second year of post-graduation. First year is common to everyone. You can easily tell in an interview that, you know what, I haven't decided yet. I'd like to experiment in my first year. Study all subjects, understand the nuances of every specialization, and then take a call. Super answer. That's perfectly fine. A lot of us do that. Next question. I have an IT background and a job experience of 1 year. Will be sitting for CAT this year. I have an interest of marketing. Will be specifically asked about my choice of specialization. They might ask or they might not ask. Okay, they might ask, they might not ask. You might tell them, okay, you want to do marketing. So the question is, current work experience is IT. Current work is IT. Can I take up marketing? Definitely yes. But what you got to justify during your interview is why the switch? Why the switch, right? Why do you want to go from IT to marketing? So definitely you cannot tell that I want to do marketing, but if they ask you why, you got to tell them some skills that you think that you have, and because of which you feel that you will do well should you pursue a marketing specialization. It could be an answer like, I am very creative. If you are very creative, can you give them some examples of where you have been very creative, where you have been an extrovert, and that is the reason you feel that you actually have a lot of persuasive skills, good in communications, can easily influence people, and hence you want to make a switch from IT to marketing. You got that? So it's a correct answer. You can tell IT now, but marketing 2 years down, but got to justify that answer. Next is, someone is asking me pharmaceutical management. Now pharmaceutical management is a specialization management, right? Specialized. It is offered by some colleges, not every college. Probably 5% of the colleges in India will offer you a pharma management. So who will go for pharma management? Pharma management, people who have a pharma background, right? Pharma management. So only 5% of the colleges in the country provide pharma management. If you are very particular about management in pharmaceuticals, you got to look for colleges. Go to their website, check if they offer pharma management. Very few colleges, as I was saying, hardly 5% of the colleges in the country will offer pharma management. Next question is, TISCA analytics program kaisa hai? This is really good. Remember, analytics is something that is coming up. It's a growing field. Right? What is the degree that you get, or what is the diploma you get? You will get a PGDBA, postgraduate diploma in business analytics. What will you learn in analytics? You will learn a lot of analytical tools like R, SAS, Excel sheets, right? Python. So a lot of analytical things. And remember, this is an upcoming area. A lot of demand, and definitely all top B schools which offer PGDBA, postgraduate diploma in business analytics, are good. If so, go with the college brand. If the brand is good and is offering you a PGDBA, go for it if you are interested, provided you are interested in it. Get that? Yeah, so people who are saying specialization in IT you can definitely take up, but IT is again for people who have some background, okay? Some background. Only then it would help you. I don't know so someone is asking cutoffs. I don't know the exact cutoffs. I don't remember at this point of time. So if you're asking about exact cutoffs, you go to their college website, find out. So someone is asking, will certifications help? Certifications. Remember, certifications will help only and only if you are able to justify the learnings in a certification. Remember, there are a lot of certifications now. Even if you do next, you probably will be able to finish the certification. Just because you have a certification, you cannot crack an interview. But if you are going to justify, if they ask you questions on what you have learned, and you are going to convince them that you have actually learned a lot in that particular certification of yours, definitely it's going to be your help. So learn and do certifications only if you think that you actually want to learn and add value. Because remember, it's not the certification that will help you crack an interview. It is the learnings that you derive out of your certification that will help you crack an interview. Yes? Okay, I think we are past our time. We are going to stop here. I'm going to come up with more and more such interesting sessions, right? And if the session has been beneficial for you, if you have got to understood new things, please do like the video, because that tells us that you've enjoyed the session, and we in Unacademy can continue to make more and more such sessions. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much. And in case you wish to subscribe to Unacademy Plus for A to Z of your MBA preparation and your MBA dream, make sure that you got to use the code Parikshit Live. If you use this code, you will get 10% off on any product that you choose on Unacademy. 10% off and free mentorship throughout the time you are with Unacademy. Free mentorship from my side throughout the time you are with Unacademy with this code Parikshit Live. So 10% off and free mentorship. And I'm going to see you soon in my next session. Bye for now.